By the birth of a storm, Europe reeled in the aftermath of revolutions. Thrones fell like dying stars. Old empires fractured. The lodges whispered. The shadows stirred. Into this chaos, a child was born on a remote island. Small, ambitious, fierce, Napoleon Bonaparte. To the world he would become a military genius, a liberator, a tyrant, an emperor. To the children of light he would become a sign. To the children of darkness he would become a vessel. For the shadow does not always choose kings. Sometimes it chooses the men who create them. The making of the shadow's favorite. Napoleon rose through the ranks like fire through dry grass, gifted, relentless, unstoppable. He seized opportunities others feared. He turned defeats into victories. He turned chaos into order. He turned republic into empire. But the children of light recognized the pattern. A will too strong, a vision too consuming, a destiny too unnatural. The destructive image watched him closely. Here is a man who will reshape nations, it hissed. Here is a man whose ambition can be guided. It did not need to possess him. It only needed to whisper, and Napoleon, hungry for greatness, listened to every whisper of glory. The rise of the Shadow Emperor. He crowned himself emperor in 1804, a deliberate act, a symbolic insult to Europe's monarchs, a declaration that destiny was no longer inherited. It was taken. The children of darkness rejoiced, for Napoleon's empire was not born of divine order. It was born of ambition, conquest, manipulation, charisma, and the chaos seeded by the lodges. Yet he brought reforms, justice, modernization. Light and shadow mingled in him, just as they had in James, Vlad, and rulers before him. But Napoleon leaned toward the shadow. Power became his scripture. Conquest became his prayer. War became his language. I've Europe set ablaze. Napoleon did not merely fight battles. He reshaped the continent. Austria fell. Prussia bowed. Italy transformed. Spain trembled. Russia awakened. Entire nations were carved like clay. Borders erased. Kings replaced. Laws rewritten. The children of darkness whispered strategies into each campaign. Not for France's glory, but for Europe's destabilization. For if the continent tore itself apart, new systems could rise in the ruins, and the lodges were ready. Be the war against the light. Napoleon's greatest campaigns were not against nations, but against the spiritual backbone of Europe. He shattered ancient monarchies, humiliated popes, seized church lands, exalted reason over revelation, enthroned himself above divine authority. The children of light fought to preserve truth, but the destructive image gloated. Let him tear down the old, we will build the new. Napoleon believed the world bent to his will. He never realized he bent to another's. The turning of the tide. In 1812, Napoleon launched the largest army Europe had ever seen toward Russia. Take the East. No one can stop you. But ambition is the shadow's favorite trap. Napoleon marched millions into a frozen grave. Moscow burned. Winter devoured the Grande Armée. Survivors limped home, broken. The children of darkness withdrew their whispers. The children of light intervened, for even the shadow abandons its pawns when their downfall serves a greater plan. Moscow marked the beginning of Napoleon's end. Of the Emperor, coalitions formed, nations united, battles turned, Napoleon was defeated, exiled, returning only briefly for one final blaze of chaos. Waterloo extinguished him, his star collapsed, his empire crumbled, but the shadow was not defeated. It simply moved on for the destruction Napoleon left behind. Fractured maps, weakened monarchies, ideological aftershocks was exactly what the children of darkness desired. A new world was coming, a world of republics, ideologies, financial empires, and industrial power. Napoleon had cleared the board. Being the legacy of the Shadow Emperor, the children of light recorded Napoleon's tale as a warning. A man driven by ambition becomes easy prey. A world driven by ambition becomes easy to rule. He was neither wholly evil nor wholly misguided. He was a tool, a storm used by the shadow to reshape nations, and the aftermath of his conquest paved the way for rising banking dynasties, the birth of nationalism, revolutions across continents, industrial power, new secret networks of influence. Napoleon fell, but the shadow empire he unintentionally forged was only beginning to rise. I toured the next great shift. The children of light braced themselves for what followed Napoleon would be subtler, more global. The world would no longer be shaped by emperors, but by systems, ideologies, alliances, and shadows that move without crowns. The war was entering a new age, and the Chronicles turned their gaze toward the next great transition. The unseen architects who would build the modern world from behind the throne.